You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our review for The Flash episode 11, The Sound and the Fury. Now, I know that normally I do my videos and you see me there and I'm doing my thing, but for those of you who are unaware, and I'm sure many of you are aware actually, the Northeast has been bombarded with snow, and I spent most of today snowing and salting and things of that nature. So I am extremely tired, very sore. Did not want to go downstairs and set up my studio. So I figured this week I'll just do a voice review, throw a couple of pictures in there. And but the point is, we get to talk about The Flash, another solid episode. This one, we get introduced to a former protege of Dr. Wells named Rathaway. And, you know, this was a very good episode. This, once again, just shows that there's something big coming. And what I found interesting about the show is that Hartley Rathaway obviously knows a great deal about Dr. Wells. And even though Dr. Wells, in some way, to my opinion, was portrayed as a hero in this episode, it will not surprise me if down the road Hartley Rathaway turns out to be, you know, a potential, you know, I don't want to say a partner, but someone who's going to help the Flash take down Wells when he finally reveals himself to be Reverse Flash, or reveals himself to be helping the Reverse Flash. Right now, obviously, we saw in this episode he has the Flash powers. It's not something he maintains for a long period of time. So, and we got to see that right off the bat, right in the opening of the episode, in his house when Rathaway attacked him, and he was able to dodge the falling glass, making Joe very, very suspicious. And, you know, Joe, obviously, as we know at the end of this episode, he's going to be going forward to investigate Dr. Wells, unbeknownst to Barry, because he knows how much it would upset Barry. And obviously, I think that's going to set up some conflict for Barry and Joe down the road. But I'm with Joe on this one. I think Joe's making the right move. I think he has to investigate Wells. There's too many questions unanswered. And obviously, Wells is up to no good. Whether or not he has Barry in his best interest in Joe's eyes remains to be seen. But Joe, you know, he doesn't know that Wells is the Reverse Flash. And I think that is where it gets a little dangerous, because as we remember, Reverse Flash threatened to kill Iris, excuse me, if Joe had continued investigating. And now it's funny because Joe is going to continue investigating, only he's investigating Dr. Wells and he is unaware of the link. So that's going to be interesting stuff. Now, in terms of Rathaway, obviously this is not the last we've seen of him. And I'm sure he'll continue to be portrayed as a villain, but I'm hard-pressed to believe that at some point, him and the Flash are going to be allies. And not by choice, not because they're buddy-buddy, just it's going to be a common enemy. And Rathaway revealing that he knows, well, what he knows at the end of the show about Raymond, I think that's what's going to lead to that allegiance at some point. Now, of course, I could be completely wrong, but it just kind of seems to be formulating that way. So, and I thought Rathaway made a big impact in this episode, considering it's the first time we've seen or heard of him, because you get to see just how involved he is with the history of not only Dr. Wells, but the lab, and even Cisco and Caitlin. So I definitely think he's going to be a major player on the show going forward. For how long is unknown, but you know, interesting character development right off the bat. We also got to see a little bit more of Wells. I mean, you know, we've never seen this house before. It's the first time we've seen him use his powers, you know, not in public, but the first time we've seen him have to use them, you know, being out the wheelchair and stuff like that. So, you know, very, very good episode. Iris, obviously on a more minor point, got hired by a local paper to basically, they want her to bring in Flash news, and obviously she doesn't want to do that. She wants to establish herself as a real journalist, so she looks like she's got an uphill battle. I'm pretty sure that Barry at some point or another will provide her with some information and some stories on the Flash that'll help boost her a little bit, but that'll be interesting to see how she develops in that field, and you know, we'll take it from there. But the episode overall, I thought, was very, very solid. You know, the weapon that he was using was very cool. I'm wondering if that's going to be one of the ways they're going to help Flash learn about vibrating through objects. You know, when his gloves went off and the Flash was vibrating, I got the idea that they might get his gloves, or they might have them, and maybe do some reverse engineering or something to try and help Flash develop that skill. But again, we'll have to see. Maybe he develops it in another way. But once again, we see Dr. Wells at the end. He seems to have most of the ending scenes where you see something big, and that's where we find out that he can't sustain the power. Obviously, it takes a lot out of him. We saw in the episode when Rathaway was taking over the complex that he, you know, after he ran a short distance with top speed, you know, he fell to the floor and he couldn't collect himself. And, you know, Rathaway took advantage of the moment. He got what he needed. He knocked out Cisco, knocked out Caitlin, and he took off. And, you know, it was one thing I love about this episode is not only did this guy Rathaway come in, but he made a huge impact, and he's got what seems to me, a very big part of this story. And Dr. Wells at the end of the show saying that he's not going to need the device to sustain much longer because the end game is near. Man, I mean, that just got me fired up, because now I want to see how this is all going to go down. One little side note I want to mention is I thought it was funny how in the press conference, Dr. Wells said he failed the city. I thought that was a nice little, nice little touch there to the Arrow. I thought it was very interesting. And it looks like next week Barry's going to be, a bit of a playboy. We see him, if you saw the coming attractions, he's got some scenes with some girl that I guess he met there. They start off their relationship hot and heavy. But he doesn't seem to lose his concentration on his responsibility, as one of the scenes showed that he had to go, and he takes off and goes to fight crime. And, I think Barry deserves that. Barry, this guy needs to let off a little bit of steam. Being the Flash is not easy. The girl he loves is with somebody else. Felicity's in love with Arrow. So, he's got to go out and get his, man. So I'm all for it. But very interesting episode that I felt set up a lot of things that are to come. Obviously, the investigation with Dr. Wells, provided by Joe. Rathaway now being into the mix and already making a huge impact on his first appearance. Dr. Wells still trying to maintain some of the powers of the Flash, but seems not to need it much longer, as whatever's going to happen, according to him, it's going to happen pretty soon. And obviously, Barry still has a lot to learn about his speed, still has a lot of things he has to do to improve himself. And obviously, Cisco and Caitlin are still there being very supportive. And we know that Captain Cold is still out there, along with Heatwave, whoever that mysterious character was that saved them. And, of course, we know Firestorm is out there as well. And Rathaway looks like he's going to try and coerce himself out of his prison. Lots of stuff going down. Very, very exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to next week's episode. But anyway, guys, that's it for this review. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Join the nation's Facebook page to meet other subscribers, or visit E.T.N.'s Facebook page and Twitter page. Links for all are in the description.